And she is sitting in the corner near one of the closets, and she is just like crouched down wearing my best friend's sweater. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I hope you stay because it's super fun here. At least I think so. Today we're back with another episode, another video in the 31-day series that I called Ghosts Glam. And today is day 9, I believe, in the series. But we're currently doing like a mini series within a series. And this one is about this haunted house that we moved into when I was 14, going on 15. And I thought that this house really deserved its own mini series. So yesterday kind of gave you an overview on the house, and today we're going to start going into like the actual stories. But before we get into that, if you are not subscribed, you totally should do that. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of October. And yeah, that would be super cool. On this channel, we talk about stuff like this, creepy stuff, but we also talk about really, really cool shit like makeup, lifestyle, vlogging stuff. We talk about adaptability, living life with a physical difference, and so much more. So if you're into any of that, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, it'd be so fun if you did. We're gonna dive into these stories and do some little makeups and stuff. Let's dive into it. So when I sat with this, I really was like, okay, where am I gonna start with this story? Because I kind of give you like an overview of the story yesterday. I'm trying to decide what kind of look to do today. We're gonna go for like greens and blues. Yesterday I gave you like an overview of the house, but today I think I'm gonna start, I guess I'll start with the biggest story, and then we'll go into more micro stories as the days go on. So like I told you yesterday, the house was really beautiful, the layout was amazing, and I told you about some of the overall stuff that happened in that house. Well, one of the things that happened was the dreams I kind of briefly mentioned. And in those dreams, it was really weird because I would always dream the same girl. She looked to be around my age, maybe a little bit older. I would say like 16-ish. And homegirl, she was always by the railroad tracks. Like every single time I dreamt her, she was right by the railroad tracks. And she would just stare at me, and I would stare back at her. And that was like that. But I kept having this dream over and over and over again. And it happened for a few nights. And every single time I dreamt this girl, I would wake up. It was always 3:56. And I would hear trains, like the train passing, like if we were near train tracks. But of course, it would not be a creepy thing if we were by the train tracks, but we weren't. This house was literally not near any railroads. There's no reason for me to be hearing train tracks when I would wake up at that time. Any time I dreamt her. And so, same thing always. I would dream her, I'd wake up. I was always, for whatever reason, facing my closet, which was like across from my window. So my window was to my right, the closet was to the left. And every time I would wake up, I'd be facing the closet, which my alarm clock was on that side, and it was always the same time, 3:56 in the morning, and you would just hear the train tracks, and it was just like an eerie feeling. Like, I remember many times I just kind of like pulled the blankets over my head because it was just weird. So this happened for a good amount of time. This happened for about, I want to say, 2 weeks of just this constant thing. And then after those 2 weeks, I started dreaming her again. But this time, she would be calling me over. She'd be calling me to get closer to her. And many times when I would dream her calling me over, I would kind of like step closer to her, but never really reach her. And so this started happening, and this was like a nightly occurrence. After those first 2 weeks of me just dreaming her, and now she's calling me over. But like I said, in my dreams, I was never able to quite reach her. This is a really pretty combination. But I continuously just dreamt this girl on these train tracks calling me over. I remember this lasted months, like months happened, and months went by, and I was just dreaming this. Like, this was just what was happening. This was just the natural occurrence. I don't know. I just thought, whatever, it's just a dream. Until, I don't know if you remember or if you saw yesterday's video, but I told you how we moved into this house when I was 14 going on 15, and a lot of my quinceañera practices, because my girl's Latina and I was having a quinceañera, we were practicing, so I constantly had friends over. And my best friend, she was constantly over. She basically lived at my house. And one time, she had been wearing a black sweater, and she lost it during one of the practices at my house, and we just could not find it. We searched the laundry room, we searched my room, any room that she would have been in, we looked for it, and we couldn't find it. So I was just like, you know what, like, if we find it, I'll just give it to you at school. It's fine. So she goes home, and that is that. But here's where it gets really interesting. So that night, I have a dream of the girl again, of the train track girl. However, this time we're not at the railroad, but she is in my house. And she is in that room from yesterday's story, the seamstress room that is down that hallway. And she is sitting in the corner near one of the closets, and she is just like crouched down wearing my best friend's sweater. And all this is in the dream, right? So I wake up the next morning. That night I slept through it, whatever. I wake up the next morning and I call my friend, or I text her, and I was like, yo, I know where your sweater is. And you'll never guess who has it. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And so I tell her, I was like, I'm pretty sure your sweater is in the seamstress room, and I'm pretty sure the girl that's been in my dreams has your sweater. And my friend, she knows I don't go down that hallway. Like, she knows I'm not doing it. And so she was just like, that's weird. Like, do you think it's actually there? And I was like, probably not. Like, it was just a dream. Probably not. Whatever. But tell me why. She comes over. And we decide we're going to go down that hallway into that room. And sure enough, right where I dreamt it, her sweater was just laying there on the ground, in the room, in the spot that I dreamt. Train track girl sitting with it. And so I remember my best friend looking at me and just being like, you know what? She could just keep the sweater. So we got out of that room super quick. And that sweater was never seen again. And so after I had that dream of the girl in the house, after that day, everything went back to normal. The dreams continued as normal of me just dreaming her in the railroads, her calling me over, me kind of approaching her but never reaching her, like just walking towards her. And so I thought, you know what, this is really weird. I don't know what this means. I don't know what happened, but this is just really weird. And so, like I said, we lived in that house for a year. And that whole year that we lived there, I dreamt this girl. I felt so close to this girl. But again, I just thought, like, I'm just having weird dreams. That is all. That is until my grandma, remember how I told you my sister would lock herself in her room or in her closet and stare at herself in the mirror. Well, one time, my grandma decided to do like a cleanse on my sister, like an egg cleanse. If you're Mexican or Latina, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, just search it up on TikTok or something. But so my grandma does a cleanse on her. Some weird shit happened. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as to what happened in the cleanse. But I will say that when I was over, my grandma was feeling kind of sick. And my sister woke up from her little nap asking where the girl had gone. And after my sister's cleanse, I didn't really dream her for a while. That was until a couple months later, like a month or two after my sister got her cleanse, that I started kind of seeing her. And like I said, like when I say I was seeing her, like I was seeing shadow versions of her. Like I would see a girl peeking in from the corner of my eye. I would turn and then there was no one there. I would hear my name being called, but the name being called really wasn't a young girl's voice. It was more like a mom, like a woman voice. I often confused it with my mom's voice, but I knew better than to respond, because if you hear your name being called, you better not answer that. So when I started to hear my name constantly being called, I started dreaming the girl again. But this time, she was the one walking towards me. And she would get super close, like uncomfortably close. I'm gonna start adding color because this just looks actually crazy. Okay, this was not the vibe we were going for. but it's gonna have to do because I'm not gonna redo anything. Let's try and see what's some eyeliner. Hold on. But like I was saying, I start dreaming her again. She's getting closer to me, and it just becomes a thing. But this time in my dreams, I know I'm scared, and I know I don't want her to reach me. But I keep dreaming her, and she like really, really wants to tell me something. And I'm just not having it. Like, I'm just like, girl, like, please stop. And it's just getting weirder and weirder. And now I'm waking up at all hours of the night, not just 3:56. And it almost feels like she's getting desperate to get my attention, because I would wake up and like my door would swing open, or I would get up and like a light would flicker, you know, like weird stuff that I was just kind of like, okay. But as we're nearing us leaving the house, because remember, like I said, my mom was renting to buy. She wanted to see if we liked the house and stuff. But as we were getting near the end of us staying there, or of the rental period or whatever, when it was getting time to renew or decided we wanted to keep it, I kept dreaming her, and I kept dreaming her, and I kept dreaming her. And it just got really, really weird, because the last day that we were there, I dreamt her running up to me and telling me like, you have to come back, like you have to come back, you can't go, you can't leave, blah blah, all this stuff. And I was just like, what the but we ended up leaving the house, and it was just really weird, from the dreams to like the sweater, and then the sweater being right where I had dreamt it, to my sister waking up after her limpia and being like, where's the girl, to the train tracks, to like this being a repetitive dream while we were living in this house, to that final dream of like, yo, like you can't leave kind of thing. Just a lot of things with this girl that just kept happening. And I did end up coming up with, or I did end up figuring out like a storyline that may have happened in that house. And I do want to share that with you guys when the finale of this series kind of comes together. But I really wanted to give you in this one the overview of this little girl. Well, not so little. Like I said, she was probably around 16. That kept being in my dreams. And then the railroad thing happening. And just a lot of things that like pointed towards like, this is something important. Like, remember this girl, remember the train tracks, remember this whole situation. And I think it really did come into play when we left, after we left, and everything kind of fell together. From, like I said, the dreams, to my sister locking herself in the room, to like even the little kid that I talked about in yesterday's video, to what I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's video, which includes the woman's voice that we kind of braved on today, and the man that went from the garage into the bar, and like so many things just came together. It was like a whole family. And yeah, I feel like this video again was all over the place, but I kind of wanted to introduce to you guys this new being, I guess we'll call her. And I have not dreamt of her since that final day in that house. And I remember I told my mom about the dream because we were still moving things out. And I was telling her how this girl in my dreams with the train tracks, like, my mom knew this whole time that I was like having these weird dreams because I was telling her about them. But she, when I told her that the girl was kind of like you can't leave, you have to come back, all this stuff, my mom was like, yeah, you're not going back into that house. So I never went back. Barbara was helping her move us out, move my stuff out, and that was that. I like I said, I haven't dreamt of this girl again. For the longest time, even when I first got with my boyfriend, like, train tracks would just freak me out when I would hear the like train sounds, the railroad sounds. They would freak me out because it was just like an every night thing while I was living at this house, and it felt so real. And I think what really solidified the realness of it was that dream of my friend's sweater in the closet. You know, that was just weird. That's all I have for you guys today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about a situation that happened when some of my friends were over and how creepy that whole thing was. I'm gonna be sharing 2 stories tomorrow because they kind of go back to back, and I believe, if I remember correctly, they happened the same day. So I'm gonna be sharing those with you tomorrow, and we're gonna continue this mini series on this house within this bigger 31-day series. So yeah, I will talk to you tomorrow. I don't know if this look was it today, but we're just gonna go with it. And yeah, I love you guys. Stay incredible, stay happy, stay whatever the f you want to stay. And I will chat with you tomorrow. Do not forget to subscribe. I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep. Alright, bye.